this. I think that this is an opportunity whether they want to do other work.
A human rights lawyer, Tici is arguing that the National Judicial Commission, as presently constituted, cannot spearhead effective reform of the judiciary. Speaking in a Monitor television interview, Ogunye advocated for a multi-sectoral approach involving the legislature, the executive, and other stakeholders to make Nigeria's judiciary align with democratic realities.
Part of the problem that we had to deal with on this occasion is that we had a CJN who was indicted, presiding over an NJC that he single-handedly nominated or appointed 14 members of, a majority of them. So how can that NJC that is called upon to regulate itself, regulating the regulators, perform optimally? So,
Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, says that over 1.8 million candidates who sat for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination will be able to check their results in their mobile phones and should not allow any computer-based center to exploit them. JAM Head of Information Fabian Benjamin, in a telephone interview with Flow FM News, said that the board had designed a process which would enable candidates assess their results through their mobile phones without having to go through a CBT center or a cyber cafe. He added that examination results were, however, still undergoing screening for malpractices and will be released anytime from next week.
We have CCTV camera in the center. We have our monitors. We have different ways. There were a lot of irregularities in that center, and we would have just gone ahead to cancel the result entirely and not give it the opportunity to do the examination again. But because of the few innocent candidates that will be there, is because that's why we're going to release results. We're using our CCTV camera and seeing whatever happened at the center, and we'll look into all those complaints that candidates have. As soon as we finish going through our due process. What we are going through is to see that no center result is released with cases of malpractices.
Abia State government says there is no plan to ban tricycle operation in the state, but seeking partnership with operators to identify and punish those who use the keke to rob, kidnap, and perpetrate all the crimes. Commissioner for Information John Oki-Kalu, who made the clarification in a chat with newsmen, appealed to commuters for patience and understanding regarding the recent reduction in operation time for tricycle operators in Umuahia and Abia. On palliative measures taken to ameliorate the situation, the commissioner informed that the Ministry of Transport had already engaged operators of the Abia State Taxi Scheme to temporarily deploy vehicles to the streets as against the existing model of deploying only on demand. Abia State is hosting the highest policy-making body in agriculture in Nigeria, the 43rd National Council on Agriculture and Rural Development today. The forum serves as a platform for stakeholders in agriculture to appreciate the direction of policies, effectiveness of strategies, and review plans, programs, and projects for the attainment of food security and wealth generation in Nigeria. Abia State Commissioner for Agriculture Chinedum Elechi said the event demonstrates the importance the state government accords agriculture as a pillar of development.
Agriculture is one of the 5 pillars of development, so to host it tells you the pride of place in agriculture that the governor considers that it's very important. That is why they opted to host the nation.
The theme for this year's event is consolidating the strategies of the agricultural promotion policy for economic diversification and growth. Methodist Archbishop of Uba Archdiocese, Most Reverend Chibuzo Okpoko, is advising Nigerian leaders to rise above self and embrace sacrificial life as exemplified by Jesus Christ in resurrection. Archbishop Opoko, in his Easter sermon at Wesley Cathedral, Umuahia, lamented the level of deprivation, killing, and injustice meted out to the average Nigerian due to bad leadership in the country.
Things of government that is preventing insecurity in the land, that is preventing poverty in the land. This is a land that has a lot, and yet there is hunger on the table. Why? We have oil, yet we are living like people that do not have anything else. We have gold in Zamfara, yet people are being slaughtered in that area. We are saying that the government should rise above self.
He enjoined Christians not to abandon the duties of praying for leaders to serve with the fear of God.
Christians should be able to pray for all the leaders, because that is what the Bible has said, commanded us to do, so that God himself can allow and touch their hearts so that they can rule with the fear of the Lord. This is why we must rise above personal interests and do about this nation.
News now on Flow 94.9 FM continues shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Do stay tuned.
In a world where not all radio stations are equal, one stands above the rest.
We bring the right flow to God's own state.
94.9 FM.
You are listening to News Now on Flow 94.9 FM. Umuahia, the flow of God's own state.
Glad to know you're still tuned in to Flow 94.9 FM. News Now continues. In business, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says the refinery being built by Dangote Group is expected to reduce the need for fuel imports in West Africa. OPEC is the current edition of its World Oil Outlook noted that the refinery will refine as much as 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day. According to OPEC, in Africa there are 50 refining projects which, if all are built, would add nearly 5 million barrels per day of new refining capacity to the continent. Away from the shores of Nigeria, the death toll in Sri Lanka has soared to 290 after a wave of blasts hit churches and luxury hotels across the country yesterday. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said security services had been aware of information of possible attacks, but that the information had not been acted upon. However, Sri Lankan police said 24 people had been arrested, but it is not yet known who carried out the attacks, adding that the curfew is to be imposed in the country starting from Tuesday. In sports, Ugandan coach Sebastian Desabre is quietly confident that the Cranes may have an edge after being drawn against host Egypt in the African Cup of Nations. The East Africans were handed a particularly tough first-round assignment after being pitted alongside Egypt, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Zimbabwe in Group A of the 2019 AFCON, which kicks off in Cairo on the 21st day of June. To end the news, a recap of our major stories. Catholic Bishop of Yola Diocese, Reverend Stephen Mamza, wants President Muhammadu Buhari led federal government to wake up to its responsibilities of protecting lives and providing security to all Nigerians. A Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM says Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination are still undergoing malpractice screening before it releases its results to the candidates. We also brought you a story that Abia State government says there is no plan to ban tricycle operation in Umuahia and Abia. We told you that the death toll in Sri Lanka has soared to 290. Thank you for being with us. Do join us at 6:45 a.m., at noon and at 6 p.m. every weekday for additional newscast. This It's Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. You can send your views or information to flowfmnews@gmail.com or visit www.flownews.com.ng for more stories. This